nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.
That was so quick. I didn't expect the camera to flip on that fast. Thank you, O'Shea, for your time. I appreciate you speaking with me today.
Thank you for having me.
One thing in particular that I admire about the roles that you select, they're always so grounded in realness, and I believe you when I see you on the screen. And when I think of Ike, I think one of his biggest problems is he has to be all things to all people at all times, and
Mm.
it's a very treacherous tightrope for him because he has his own things that he has to heal from in his past. When you look at Ike, what do you think is his biggest blind spot, and what do you think is his biggest attribute?
Um, I think his biggest attribute is by far his passion. I think it's important for a coach to show that he gives a damn. It's important for a leader of young men and women to show that the words that they're expressing to you are felt in a deeper spot, and it's not just BS. And he's about to become a father, and the passion and the truth behind his words are what makes people want to listen, want to believe, and want to follow. And I think his biggest blind spot is that regret he's holding on to. It hurts that he couldn't say what he wanted to say to his father before he passed. It hurts that everyone in his hometown knows that he was the one that was supposed to make it. It hurts seeing Lester Davis in this huge house while I'm over here at Independence Tool and Repair. And it's yeah, so that regret that he holds on to holds him back. You can either let it go or let it drag you behind it.
Mhm. With that passion for a chosen profession, you obviously have your passion for your acting career and the things that you are doing. What do you think you figured out that he hasn't figured out, that your character Ike hasn't figured out?
I think um at 30, I'm quick to tell you I ain't got too much figured out, but I make it work. And yeah, I use my passion and my drive to lift others. And most of the time I need it to lift myself. I think I have the conversations, most of my deep conversations are with myself, to kind of push me forward and to keep me going. Because you need to have that self-confidence, that believe in self, because that's the first person to believe in you. So it's important. But yeah, I'm passionate. If I like it, I can make you love it. I can sell water to a drowning man if I have to. Like, it's just something I've always had, and it's gotten me a couple of parts. A little charismatic.
A little role here and there, a
Yeah.
couple little jobby jobs. With this film, it really goes a lot more nuanced. We see so many triumphant stories where the kids at the local car wash and they raise the money for the jerseys, and yay, the whole town rejoices. But this is not that. It's very gritty. It's very ugly, and it really speaks volumes to the pressures put on young people when they've found that path early. Were there things that you learned in your preparation that surprised even you about how young athletes are manipulated, or just young people in general who excel when they're young?
I had always heard whispers of the shadiness of you know just basketball tournaments, youth basketball and things like that. But they're the same whispers that you hear about the shadiness of any type of amateur sports, NCAA. You always hear slight things, but to really put a spotlight on it and to really you know bring in information on a subject that most of America probably has no idea about. You know, that's what the importance uh, was to me when I signed up for Swagger. Is that there are kids being used as pawns, looked at as dollar signs, and people getting away with it. And so, you know, it's really important to me that Swagger teaches young athletes to, you know, educate themselves on what's going on and further protect themselves, kind of build that suit of armor, build you a team of people that you can trust. Look at LeBron James. LeBron James has been with the same circle of people his entire life. Rich Paul and Maverick Carter. You know, these are people he grew up with that he trusted, and I mean, he's doing all right. So I hope that Swagger gives people the confidence that they need and helps them open their eyes and to be able to spot the red flag sooner.
For sure, for sure. Well, I thank you, sir. Always a pleasure. Enjoyed the series, and I'm excited to see, especially because it's KD, to see people react to it because it's going to cause a lot of new conversations, and that's great. Thank you again.
Thank you. Kevin Durant should have been a Laker. Thank you.
Thank you, Tristan, for your time. Always a pleasure to talk to you and see you perform.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
Thank you again. When I was fascinated by Alonzo because I think of what they tell you when you grow up in the inner city, how you're supposed to get out, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, and live this better life without looking back. And with him, he's in a unique position in that he's from the area, like so many of our youth, and he's parlayed that into success. We don't know a lot of his backstory when we're introduced to him and we watch him over the course of the season. What would you say is the best assessment of who he is that we aren't able to fill in the blanks per se about with him?
I think you started to hit it right on the head. He's someone from the area who is, you know, he's pulled himself up by his quote unquote own bootstraps. He's gone on to begin success at this young or this smaller sneaker company, and he wants to continue to he wants to continue to climb the corporate ladder. He's not happy where he is, or he knows that he can be the smartest, the brightest in the room, and he's trying to showcase that to get to another place, to continue to grow and get bigger and better. But through that comes the exploitation of his own people. So it's I think what we get a chance to see with Alonzo isn't just that side, the corporate side, but get a chance to really see the inner turmoil of what does success mean. It's funny. Me and my manager were just singing a song lyric, and it resonates so much. When someone wins, once somebody wins, someone must fail. You never know what that but I think when you're climbing that corporate ladder, you don't always care about or look at the person who is failing.
Mm-hmm. When I look at you and what you've accomplished in your career, it's clear you still are very in touch with where you come from. You're active with younger people. What do you know in your personal life do you think that Alonzo does that helps you keep that attachment?
The one thing I think I know that I don't think Alonzo understands early in the series is the importance of family and the importance of the people around you, and understanding who you are and where you're from. Continue, like, those moments that you get disconnected from those things, yes, success can come. Yes, you could become bigger than life and all of that, but that connection to where you're from, always being able to give back or to reach back for someone else, to pull someone else up, you don't understand how much more powerful that is than just becoming a single entity.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, so many stories like this are told from that Cinderella gaze where it's all about the triumph, but it's not about the struggle in depth as it is with this series. Were there things you learned over the course of this that surprised even you? Although we see stories in the media about you young athletes that are taken advantage of.
Oh, absolutely. Just even doing my own research about the different players as it comes to these sneaker brands, such as a Sonny Vaccaro or I forget the other guy's name, but yeah, it's you start to kind of see that a lot of times we think these meetings are being held in these boardrooms, these these things are being hashed out in the boardrooms when in all actuality it's in the streets. It's happening at doorsteps. It's happening at the end of basketball games. These handshake deals that turn into the Jordan threes. This it's so many different small things that happen to make the bigger thing happen. So yeah, I've learned as a sneakerhead. I've learned so much more about the sneaker culture and the monetization of our young youth that I didn't know before.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you, sir, for your time. This is a marvelous series. You were fantastic as usual, and I appreciate you talking to me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care.
You too.
Thank you so much for your time today. It is a pleasure to talk to you. I enjoyed your performance very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
All right, what fascinated me about Crystal is something that she has in common with you, excelling at a young age. As a performer who began her career very young and reaching the level, what do you think that you have figured out in your journey for success that could help Crystal in her journey to be a top basketball player? Is it a quality? What do you think the two of you have in common?
I think something that Crystal already has, and you'll see in the show, is her determination and her drive and her strength. I could get knocked down, Crystal could get knocked down, and you know, it happens. It's life, but we always get back up. We always strive for more and the best that we can do, and the best that we know we are capable of. We don't stop. We just keep going. We don't give up, and we don't let anything get the best of us. We get the best of it. We just keep pushing.
This story, a lot of people are going to learn things from it. They hear stories about athletes who have adversity, or they see the Cinderella version of it where, everybody comes in a big huddle because they had a car wash and they made the money that they needed to make. But it's not like that in this case. This is more real life. Are there lessons that you learned getting to know these characters and what youth athletes experience? I mean, you probably have your own firsthand experience with some of the
Um,
things the adversity they face.
I think I would take from this entire show is that there's a lot of things that happen to people that everyone can relate to. This show has a lot in it, and I know there's going to be something that everyone can relate to. That there's something that each person, when they watch it, like, dang, I understand that. Like, I get that. And then the next person can say the same thing, but for something totally different. And that's what I love about this show. When I was reading about the other characters, I was like, dang, that's deep. I get it. Like, I get it. That's real. Especially for like my other like teammates and stuff, and like all the other characters and stuff. Like, that was insane. When I read the script, the whole entire thing, and not just my character, I was like, man, this is an amazing story. And the way it's all broken down, and the ending of it all, and how it all just comes together, is just chef's kiss. Like, I love it so much.
There, see, with those other characters, there's lots of fun youth characters in the series, no matter of gender or whatever. If you could switch with any character in the show, which character would you want to switch with?
I kind of want to be Jace. I don't know why. I kind of do know why, but I don't really play basketball, and Isaiah, who plays Jace, he's just super good at it, and I just want him to take my spot. I just want him to understand what it felt like, and then I want to understand what it felt like for him to just be flying up in the air, dunking, and just like he was pretty much the only one on set that was just crazy with the dunks, and I just want to know what it feels like. I just want to dunk just one time on my own, and not have my brother just put me up on the rim. Like I
Mhm.
would want to switch with him, but only for like a minute, just so I could dunk, and then I'd want to beat Crystal again.
That's not bad. That's not a bad choice to have. And lastly, instead of asking you about advice you would give to youth people, instead I'll ask, what's something you do to for yourself that helps you stay centered, that helps you, keep your mind right? What is something you enjoy that keeps you fresh and pushing forward?
It would have to be family and friends, and I know that might sound like a little corny, like oh, family and friends, but when I go home or when I FaceTime my friends, they remind me that I'm not Quvenzhané Wallis, you know? They remind me that I'm Quvenzhané. Like, I am who I am outside of everything that, work and career. Like, they remind me that I'm humble and to be humble, and my mom loves me like so much, and my brothers and stuff, they don't care. My brothers are so like they don't care. They do not care, and they will do any and everything. They will beat me up and then be like, ha ha, like brothers. Like nothing changed when it came to my best friend and my family. So that is what keeps me going. When I just feel like everything is just too much, I either go to my mom and I cuddle, or I go to my mom and she's like, "Girl, what's wrong with you?" She just brings me back down and calms me down and makes me feel like me again outside of Quvenzhané Wallis. I just feel like me.
I guarantee she enjoys it as much as you do. She really does from a mother point of view. Well, I thank you for your time. Terrific series. It's wonderful to see you in it, and I love watching the journey of your character. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Thank you so much, Shinelle, for your time. I appreciate it. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
This is a wonderful series. And so many times we don't see the stories of young people in this type of industry without it being solely about the Cinderella story, and it kind of
Mm.
glazes over the struggle of what it really took to get there. When I look at Jenna, she's a wonderful mother, devoted, committed to her children, but no parent is perfect. So, what do you
Right.
think is her biggest blind spot?
Her biggest blind spot, I think because there's an absence of a male, she thinks she has to give so much to him, like, you don't lack anything, just in overdrive of like, my children lack nothing. And I think sometimes she could like stop and listen and watch, which I feel like I do more as a mom. But like, I also get it why Jenna has to keep going because it's life or death for her and her
Mhm.
son.
With her, it seems like in addition to trying to manage her household with her with her two children, she still is able to have an identity outside of parenting. Is that a fair assessment of who she is, or is so much of her complete identity all about the children?
It's not all about. She loves her children. She wants them to get out of this the circumstances. But Jenna is about the natural hair. If you notice, all the women have natural hair in the show, but she's about makeup, looks. She wants to feel good. She's still a young mom. And I feel like that's what makes her so lovable because she isn't just one thing. And I think that's what gives her motivation to also have her dreams while she's trying to lift her children up.
Mhm. There are some wonderfully talented youth around you, particularly the two young people that are playing your on screen children. Is it instinctual to sort of mother them? Are you more of a method type of person? How do you guys create that chemistry with each other? Because they're highly professional, but it's still, very loving, familial type of relationship between all three of you.
Very different energies, but the moment I met them, right away, Isaiah was I met him in his acting first, and I was like, "Whoa, like I'm gonna love acting with you." And then off screen, he's like a prince. He talks to everybody in the neighborhoods. Like he just starts conversation, and that's to his mom and dad raising him. And then Jordan, who plays my daughter, she's very sweet, and it became like a mentor relationship of like. We would just talk about schools and talk about like what our journeys together. So I think we had our different times of bonding, and I'm very blessed to like know them and have them on screen as my children, but they really feel like great friends that were like meant to be here with me. It's just it's all working out perfectly.
And lastly, this story focuses primarily on young people playing basketball. But as a parent and someone who is an actress and a performer, how is that a path you would choose for your own children? Because it's a huge commitment to make sure they're safe, they're in the right environments. Is that a path you would choose for them?
If I saw the gifts and talents in my child, I would definitely take the sacrifices because just having brown, black children, it's a goal of mine to make sure that they have what they need to succeed. Whether it's picking the schools that they're going to or trying to like have conversations, what's happening at school, who I am. Like I feel like I will pull from Jenna. I will break my neck to get you to where you need to go. Yeah.
I understand that as well. I can relate. Well, I thank you, ma'am, for your time. Congratulations again. It's a wonderful series, and
Thank
blessings to
you.
you and the baby.
Thank you. Take
Take
care.
care. Good. How are you today?
Really,
Thank you for
really.
your time.
No, thank you.
One of the many things that I enjoyed about the series was whenever we hear stories of youth that excel in whatever industry, particularly sports, it's more about the Cinderella gaze than the actual struggles and all of the underlying dirty things that happen on that path. Were there things in the course of your constructing this? Were there things that you learned that surprised even you? Though we've seen stories like this uh, where youth are taken advantage of in the sports system.
I mean, I think, just in the research phase that, I mean, I'd say on one level, the research began when I sat down with Kevin Durant and heard some of his stories. But then on another level, research really began as a father who had a kid playing, grassroots basketball. And so I was able to see a lot and just interact with a lot of people. And I think I don't know if I want to say that it surprised me, but I just think as a constant reminder, you know, the disregard sometimes that people may have that like these are kids and there's so much weight, so much urgency, so much intensity that we bring to their level of success or failure. But really, the greatest level of success is to, have a kid find like the best version of themselves and feel like they're being supported.
Hmm. When you think of the stories of your own child that played sports and talking to Kevin Durant, did you see intersections in their stories? Obviously you're hands on when your child is playing, but have you heard that sort of feedback about the pressure, about the expectations of your young person playing organized sports that kind of mirrored the early life of Kevin Durant?
I found like there were certain intersections, but also probably like the biggest intersection, was actually like hearing things that KD went through that I went through. I mean, me as like as a teenager, I was on a soap opera and I'm living in the Bronx, and like everybody knew me, and there was like such a level of pressure at such a young age in terms of like money and all these other different things. And I actually felt like, wow, like I never really explored that. And so, in terms of like taking KD's experiences, my experiences, and just some other things that we pulled in from research, it was really a story that became not solely basketball focused.
Hmm. Also, along with that, when we look at Jace, Jace has a sibling in the household, and his
Mhm.
basketball ambitions largely overshadow
Yeah.
what's happening in the household. How do the siblings of people who have large careers, where you and your own family, or just people who excel, there are siblings who may not be performing to the level of their more famous sibling, but they still are part of it. What was most important for you to convey about that relationship between Jason and his sister? Because so often we see people want to pit siblings against each other.
I mean, I just felt like, first of all, as great a mother as Jenna is, I mean, she will go toe to toe with anybody to defend her son. But I also feel that she was flawed. I feel like she did put, more attention to detail when it came to her son versus her daughter. And so I think maybe it's something I felt like I've seen in my real life. And and I really just want to credit, all of my writers, and in particular, I have a writer director, Nigella Mumin, who's a part of my staff, and she directed 106. And she was the first writer I met with. Out of all the writers I met with, she was the first character she talked about was Jackie, and really championed, her voice. And that was really, really meaningful. And it was great to be able to execute that.
Absolutely. Well, this is a wonderful series. I love the
Mm.
different view of the bridge compared to things I have seen before, and it made it very fresh. Thank you so much for your time and your talents on this. Thank you again.
Thank you. And I was just, again, I really, appreciate everything that you all do. And so thank you.
The pleasure is ours. Thank you. Take care.
Bye bye.
Better shake your booties for black girl nerves. Better shake your booties for black girl nerves.